Hello, my name is Sarah Metcalf, and I'm here to talk about my findings in the correlations between weight status, and that's weight status including pre-pregnancy weight and weight gain during pregnancy, and maternal morbidity rates in the United States. So, why did I want to look into this issue? Well, the percentage of maternal complications in the United States has increased drastically since 1976. Additionally, maternal mortality rates have more than doubled since the 1980s. So something is going on with the health of our women in the United States. When looking into this data, I first wanted to look at the data trends of obesity from the past to now. So in 1976 to 1980, 18.8% of non-pregnant women of childbearing age were considered obese. Today, 34.4% of women of childbearing age are considered obese. That is almost double the obesity rates from the 1970s. Next, I looked at the prevalence of common maternal morbidities from the past to now. So from 1993 to 2005, the prevalence of gestational diabetes has increased by 42%. Cesarean deliveries have increased by 30%. Preeclampsia by 14%. Women with pre-existing medical conditions has increased by 20%, and overall morbidity rates have increased by 19%. And this graph at the bottom further highlights how maternal mortality rates have more than doubled since the 1980s. So in 1987, there were 7.4 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. And in 2013, it was recorded as more than 15 maternal deaths per 1,000 live births. This means that today the United States has a maternal mortality rate equivalent to that of a third world country. And we are definitely ranked the highest among any developed country when it comes to maternal mortality and morbidity rates. Next, when analyzing data, I wanted to break out by race pre-pregnancy weight and weight gain during pregnancy to see what kind of correlations I could find with health by race. So, women considered in an unhealthy weight range pre-conception. African American women, 59.3% of them were considered in an unhealthy range. Hispanic women, 47.4%. And Caucasian women, 47.6%. Of these races, 18% of African American women gained more than 40 pounds during pregnancy, which is considered a high weight gain. 15% of Hispanic women did, and 22% of Caucasian women did. Next, of these races, those who experienced maternal complications, 35.5% of African American women did, and 30.2% of Caucasian women did. And unfortunately, with the data sets I was looking at, this statistic was not available for Hispanic women. But we can definitely see that African American women are way more likely to be considered in an unhealthy weight range than any of the other races I looked at, though they were not as likely to gain more weight, whereas Caucasian women were more likely to gain more weight during pregnancy. Though when you look at the maternal complications during labor and delivery, and also this graph showing maternal mortality rates, African American women are still suffering disproportionately high rates of morbidity and mortality. This graph is showing that African American women are more than double both Hispanic and white women when it comes to mortality rates. So why is this? Well, it has been stated that pre-existing conditions such as obesity may be largely to blame for an increase in these maternal mortalities. They're also thinking that at advanced maternal age, more women are becoming pregnant later in life, could be a blame for this as well. But seeing as African American women are much more likely to be in an unhealthy weight range prior to conception, I feel this could be a good start when analyzing further data and potentially relaying this as a problem. So who need to be our stakeholders? Well, all of you do. We need to work together in order to help target the health of this population. We need our scholars to first start doing more research. We need more education related to this issue in medical schools. We need more cultural competencies, especially when it comes to African American women and caring for African American women, especially prior to conception, seeing as they have more risk for preconception risks. Next, we need the government to get on board with additional policies and regulations that they need to look at what can be done to help these specific populations and communities to improve the health of our pregnant women. And then states need to look at their priorities. Each state has different data sets and priorities that need to be examined to help improve the health of their population. So we need a state's guidance for their communities, and then relate that back to the government level to help additional policies and regulations be put into place. We then need our healthcare professionals to follow these policies and regulations. We need them to identify these potential risk factors, especially when it comes to African American women of childbearing age. We need them to be more mindful of caring for this population. We need our pediatricians, nutritionists, RDs, and health educators to be more aware of the problems that we're seeing and take more role in prevention and helping women of childbearing age, and also pre-pregnant, of women who are pregnant, gain appropriate amount of weight in order to further limit these morbidities. And then for our target population, it needs to be women who are 16 to 40 years older of childbearing age, minority women, women who are currently overweight or obese, not pregnant or pregnant women, and all pregnant women need to be a target for this health issue. Next, this infographic was developed to help relay this message to not only the target population, but to also any other stakeholders that may be interested in this issue. So this infographic is highlighting weight status before and during pregnancy. States you may be at greater risk for maternal comorbidities if you are at a higher weight prior to conception, during pregnancy, or if you have gained too much weight during your pregnancy. Next, it shows who's at risk. So as we've highlighted, prevention needs to be key. Pre-existing conditions seem to be the most prevalent at displaying any sort of maternal morbidities. So we need to highlight non-pregnant women of childbearing age. And this is because the number of obese women before conception has almost doubled since 1976. Additionally, African American women are more at risk. They're more likely to be obese prior to conception, and they're also more likely to have any pre-existing conditions before conception. And then next, women who gain more than 40 pounds during gestation. It's been shown that gaining too much weight during gestation has increased chances of any maternal morbidity. So we need to focus more on healthy weight gain with these women as well. And then it goes on to highlight complications that can be seen from any sort of unhealthy weight status before or during pregnancy. So conceiving while at a high weight status or gaining too much weight during pregnancy increases a woman's chance of developing any maternal complications. So for first, gestational diabetes is a big risk factor. Gestational diabetes also increases a woman's risk of developing diabetes later in life. It can also make the infant larger for gestational age, which is not good for mom or the baby. And then preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure that can lead to seizures, strokes, and it impacts the health of mom and baby. And this is a very urgent condition that needs to be dealt with right away if a woman experiences this during pregnancy. And the next, C-sections and longer deliveries. C-sections are a dangerous invasive procedure that requires additional healing time for both mom and the baby, and it's just harder for the infant to adjust. Also, longer, harder deliveries, it puts a lot more stress on the mom and the infant, just making it harder for them to heal. All of these complications are serious and can result in death or lifelong complications for both mother and her child. Next, the infographic goes on to highlight how to reduce these risks. So you really want to start both of these before and during pregnancy. So first, exercise regularly. This is going to help maintain a healthy weight status before and during pregnancy. Eat 5 or more servings of vegetables daily, and then limit consumptions of sweet and junk food. Just leading an overall general healthy lifestyle is going to help women reduce their risks before and during pregnancy. Make sure you attend regular doctor's appointments, making sure you're getting screened for any risk factors if you're thinking about getting pregnant, and then doing any sort of necessary follow-ups or anything during pregnancy. Do not smoke or drink if you're thinking about getting pregnant or during pregnancy to help improve your health. And making sure you're taking your prenatal vitamins regularly before and during pregnancy, just to make sure mom and child are getting the adequate nutrients they need. And then how should this information be presented now that it's all gathered up? Well, we do know that more research needs to be done, but I think we have a great start with knowing that preconception risk factors need to be taken into account, and obese women with any sort of pre-existing conditions should be considered the most at risk for maternal morbidity rates. So first, conference presentations. Conferences are a great place to start with disseminating information. You can target any sort of stakeholders, nutrition conferences, pediatric conferences, OBGYN conferences. We can also do webinars. Webinars have become more popular over the years within multiple communities. So we could generate a webinar and send out an email, maybe offer continuing education credits for certain professionals to help encourage them to participate in these webinars. Also posting something in professional journals, maybe something like the American Dietetic Association Journal or the Obstetric and Gynecology Journal. They both have both electric and paper options, so you could post a blurb about recent findings in both of those areas to help get it on these professionals' radar, help them learn a little bit more about the findings. And then infographic disbursement. Utilize the infographic that was created for this information, update it in multiple languages, and then disperse to sites where preconception care is sought. So OBGYN offices, emergency rooms, urgent care, pediatric offices. Get not only the target population to start looking at this information and thinking about their health prior to conception, but also it'll help to educate the staff in those offices to relay this information to this population as well. I thank everyone so much for taking the time to listen to my findings, and I would be happy to address or clear up any questions or concerns regarding the data or further help we may need when trying to help this population and further eliminate this issue that is seen in the United States. Thank you so much.